Hello everyone, it is me, Elle. It's been a while since we've talked to each other, and today, all that I bring is a story on how I'm retarded, and how you shouldn't follow in my footsteps. I know it's been a while since the last upload, but after almost getting doxxed over a fucking YouTube video, I figured I was making too many people mad and just needed to step back from making YouTube videos and pissing off, retards for a bit. That and I've been busy, and by busy I mean depressed, and by depressed I mean getting high and only doing what requires as little physical activity as possible, as little brain activity as possible. The walls are beginning to speak to me tonight, and because of that I decide that it's time for me to talk back, at least to a camera, so that I'm not sitting here alone and losing my mind. And this is a story on how I think I may have possibly gotten drugged. So let's just jump into it, shall we? I put on my makeup today because I decided it was appropriate, as I really did clown myself a bit there. I believe it is my fault, and we will get into that. Not too long ago, I decided to go to a punk show. I had a really good time. I really like punk music a lot. I only really got into it when I got allowed, which is when I got to college, and I've been listening to it ever since, and I've always wanted to go to a punk show, but never knew where or never got the chance. I heard about one that was going on pretty locally and decided that, hey, I'm not gonna be living here for very much longer. I should be doing as much crazy shit as possible, which then led me to go to this punk show. It was already an off day, as I had a mental breakdown in work and had to leave early, not even intending to leave my house after the incident. But when you have a mental breakdown, I don't know, you just be doing shit for the rest of you just be like living, like you just be existing, and you just start kind of like bugging out. So I guess I started bugging out. I got ready, I packed my blunt, and I called my Lyft. That of which was an overly religious man who continuously tried throwing his religion on me. And listen, I don't mind if you are religious. I don't care, that's your business. Just don't try to convert me, you stupid bitch. I eventually arrived to the place, and once again, I guess it had been a weird night, and I had seen somebody who I actually used to really be into. A love interest, if you will. And I just left her there. She was very, very drunk, but she had friends or people with her, and I decided that I should ignore it and not get involved. That chapter has been closed for way too long now for me to dip my toes back in and try anything fun. So I went next door to where the junction was actually going on, and it was nice. It was cool. They were selling stuff, a lot of cool people. Well, they're playing music, and people are kind of starting to mosh, and then they do start moshing. And see, I've never been to like one of these things. I hated mosh pits up until this day because I'm really small and never really could do much in them. But I guess because it was a smaller group and not a lot of people, it made it a lot easier for me to just throw myself in there and throw myself around there. I don't think I cared very much about what happened to me, which is a problem, because then you make YouTube videos with this title. I kept throwing myself directly into the mosh pit, and it wasn't a big deal because every time I did fall, somebody was picking me up. And I didn't know it was such a team effort. At first I thought it was just chaos, but apparently it's organized chaos, and I really appreciated that. By this point, I can tell you guys safely that I'm on my second beer, and that is not nearly enough to get me fucked up. Before I continue anywhere in the story, I want to let you all know that what I drank in that night was not enough to get me fucked up, or I don't even think it was enough to get a 12-year-old fucked up. I had 3 Blue Ribbon beers and 1 shot of vodka. 3 shitty Blue Ribbon beers and 1 shot of vodka, which is why it leads me to think that I did get drugged, but we will get back into that a little later on. I'm moshing and I'm getting my ass fucked, and I'm getting torn around, and we're listening to people scream on their microphones and play their guitar and throw themselves on the ground. Very exciting. I love music. I love chaos. Had such a good time. I remember stepping outside, and this white kid who was kind of a ginger, who I learned later was Puerto Rican, was talking to me. And it wasn't much of a big deal. I didn't think about it, of course, until like 2 days later when I was like, holy fuck, did I get drugged? But he said that he had been watching me and that I was really cool looking and that I seemed to not give a fuck with the way that I was throwing myself in the mosh pit. And I had to tell him that this was my first time at one of these junctions, which may have been a mistake. Maybe he was the one who did it. But anyways, I told him that it was the first time I had been to one of these things and that I was just having a ball and that I really like the mosh pit and that it's really, really fun. More time passes. I go next door. I'm trying to fuck the bartender next door. I don't know why. She was like this cute Asian girl, but she kind of looked like trash, and I really, really liked that. So it's like every time a show would start, we would leave, go outside, have a cigarette, socialize, because it was pretty stuffy in the room, but then every time a band or a person would come to perform, we'd all huddle back inside. So through this time, I would probably go next door, check out what's next door, walk around, make sure I was sober, chill out, talk, socialize, have a cigarette, and then go back in. When I spoke to that kid was one of those socializing times where we were waiting for the next band to start. This is when the next band was going to start. And this is when I fucked up. I go inside. The band starts to play, or they get on there and they're getting ready. And as soon as I hear the noises that they made, I put my drink down because I realized that now was the time for me to go absolutely apeshit bananas. And this may have been where I made the mistake, because before this night, I did not put my drink down, and after this point of the night, I do not recall putting my drink down at all. In fact, I think that was my last beer of the night, because it was my third one. Put my drink down, I moshed to this band, loved them a lot. They stopped, I picked my beer back up, went outside, told the girl who fronted the band that I loved her and that I wanted to be just like her. She told me to tell white people to shut the fuck up, and I really appreciated that, especially because she was a white girl. Now this is where it gets hazy, because again, it's not like I was thinking about the fact that I could have gotten drugged, or that I was getting drugged, or that the drink in my hand may have been contaminated with something that was not supposed to be in there. I remember wandering around a little bit more, going inside, coming outside. I went next door to the place that I had been visiting throughout the night. I sat. By this point, I was extraordinarily horny and just really wanted somehow to let the bartender know that I was trying to fuck. I remember I went to the bathroom there, and then I remember I got out and was looking at her. And that's all that I really can remember, because from then on, my memory, I have no recollection of anything that went on for the rest of that night. No memory at all. It hopped from looking at her to waking up on my bathroom floor with my pants on, inside out. My pants were on, but they were on inside out. Thought it was weird. I took them off and I brought myself to my bed and knocked out. Next morning comes and I get ready and I go to school. I just don't think much of it, because why would I? I had just convinced myself that I had gotten drunk and passed out, even though, again, I didn't sit there and think really hard on the fact that I did not drink enough for me to black out the way that I did. And I've blacked out before. I've blacked out a lot before, after a lot more alcohol than I had that night. It had taken an entire day before we posed the question, wait a second, why is it that I did black out so heavily when I did not drink as heavily as I blacked out? My best friend was the one who kind of brought it up to me, because she was telling me that she knows that I drink like a fucking madman and that it doesn't make any sense that I was out like that. This is when my detective hat came on. The first plan was to message my Lyft. I get into the Lyft app and crunch some numbers. Text the guy before going back and seeing when I ended up calling my Lyft home, because I did get home safely. It was 1:27. And this is kind of important because the last Snapchat that I made was at 1:05. That last Snapchat being when I was in the bathroom, pretty drunk. And again, I remember getting out of the bathroom, sitting down and staring at the bartender until there was nothing anymore. This means that I was hopefully sitting there and realized, hey, I'm fucked up and should call a Lyft. Or after a while of sitting there, decided to do so. But I don't know. I don't know what happened in that frame of time. What was it, about 10, 15 minutes from 1:07 to 1:27? Yeah, no memory at all black. But I did get home. I had all of my keys on me, all of my belongings on me, which made me think that I at least knew what to do in a situation like this. I at least knew that the main objective was to get home. He dropped me off at the reasonable time. When I looked at it, it was about like a 15-minute drive, which was normal from where I was to my house. And eventually, the next day, he actually hit me back up. According to the guy, he told me that I seemed completely fine. I don't remember meeting this guy. His name was Tsuchie. No recollection. He left me a voicemail because when he made the first call, I didn't pick up because I was asleep. Don't remember his voice, nothing about him. He told me that I was completely fine and that when I got in the car, all I was talking about was how hyped the night was. He also said that by the end of the ride, he kind of felt like if he had stopped talking to me, I may have passed out, which just makes sense. But aside from that, he said that there was nothing wrong or nothing weird or nothing that seemed off. I talked to my roommate, asked her if she heard anything funny, and apparently, no. I made it in okay. I didn't get raped. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. I remember that. I will never forget that. So I know nobody was playing with my Tsuchie. No one was fucking with anything weird. I checked my body. There were no weird marks aside from mosh pit bruises. I didn't have any like thing on me. Nothing that I felt or saw. Nothing out of the ordinary. I also found out, like, way later on that I actually did vomit. I vomited a lot. And I guess I didn't see it, like, the first day that I was getting ready for school because I did not look in the mirror. I was actually almost late that day, so I got up, got ready, brushed my teeth, left the house, and didn't think anything. You couldn't even smell it, which was the worst part. I couldn't smell anything. So the next, like, later on that day when I came home and looked at the bottom of my sink and realized it looked like somebody tried cleaning throw up, I was like, that was me, obviously. I fucking upchucked. And then there was like a trail of it. Found it on my pants, found it projectile vomited all over my mirror. Projectile vomited all over the mirror. Don't know how I fucking missed that. Clown, because I'm a fucking clown, that's how. Another thing to note is that while I did go alone, I met this girl there from Instagram, and again, she said that I was okay. At first when I messaged her, saying it was cool to meet her, I didn't get a reply for 11 hours despite her posting. So I was like, you did it, Elle. You got drugged, you got roofied, and you tried grabbing her ass. And guess what? You tried grabbing her ass, and guess what? She got very upset, and now she won't talk to you. This is what happens when you get drugged. So I brought it up to her, and she said, no, dude, you were fine. So I assume, okay, dude, I guess I was fine. I guess there wasn't a big deal. But honestly, guess what? I will never get that memory back. Those 2 hours, or that 1 hour that I was out, who knows how long I was over here mustering in my fucking room before I passed out on the bathroom floor. I will never get that time back. I will never get that memory back. I will never know what exactly happened. And it pisses me off because I did not drink enough for me to get to that state. I did not drink enough to get crunk and get litty that way. I didn't. I know myself and I know I didn't. Honestly, all of those people were super fucking awesome, and there's always just gotta be that one guy who will drug your drink. He's probably not part of the group, he probably just wants to drug you for fun, but I guess it probably happened to me at this point, because there's no other logical explanation, unless I have short-term memory loss, never really knew it until now. Guess I do have that. Oh well. So what did we learn today? Don't be like me. Don't put your drink down. Don't put your drink down. Don't ever put your drink down. Even if you think you're in a safe environment of people who are understanding and call you by he, him, it doesn't mean that they're all gonna be very good people. Just don't put your drink down. Just don't ever put your drink down. Just get a new one. Just don't put your drink down. That's it. Watch who you talk to and don't put your drink down. That's the lesson of today. I know people who watch my stuff are younger, so I'm literally just speaking to you. Some of the people who watch my stuff, a little bit younger, like we got some 16-year-olds, we got some 11-year-olds. Don't put your drink down. Don't put your drink down or you'll be a clown like me. You'll lose you'll lose a lot of memory and you won't know what you did the next day. That's it.